Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Laura and I am so honored and privileged and excited that Neisha Berry is joining us today to have a conversation. Many of you already know who Nisha is. I'm going to give her a chance to introduce herself. She's a registered nurse and a lactation consultant and a prominent figure in this keto carnivore world. And I think, unfortunately, you get labeled too much as just like Dr. Berry's wife, and that ends up being your personality or your how people view you.
Yeah.
And I asked you to chat mainly so we could talk about why aren't you carnivore? Isn't Dr. Berry carnivore? Isn't that the ideal way to eat? Why aren't you carnivore?
I know. And I think it all comes down to just I don't like to be told what to do.
Love that. I love that.
No,
okay.
But Ken is a carnivore and I'm not. I think that confuses people because a lot of people can't have someone else eating a different way in their house without that affecting them, specifically people who do carnivore for food addiction or, they have a hard time staying on plan and things like that. And I get that. And I guess that could be really confusing for somebody, but we just don't really eat at the same time. So it's not a problem. Also, Ken he's not that type of person that if I'm having something, he is tempted to have it. He just stays in his lane. I stay in my lane. And
he's not tempted by your vegetables.
No. He's just not. And he's usually a faster and I don't fast. I eat usually at least 2 meals a day, if not 3. And he eats usually 1 very large meal a day. And so our meals just don't really overlap. So it doesn't affect him at all. But then it's also because people hear him say carnivore, carnivore, carnivore. While he also says the proper human diet is a spectrum. For some reason, people don't hear the part where he's like, some people can have low carb and, a good amount of protein and animal fat and do really well. And some people need to do only meat and some people need to do ruminant only. And there are people all different. No one hears him say that. I don't know why. They all just hear him say carnivore is the way. And then they come to my channel because they're like, oh, his wife probably does carnivore. And then they see onions and they're like, ah.
Right.
I thought you were carnivore.
Did you quit carnivore? Right. That's the topic right
now.
Now
It's
you must have quit.
Yeah, you must have quit, and probably Dr. Berry's quit too. He's just lying about it. And that would be sensational for us to all of a sudden put out a video that's like Dr. Berry quit carnivore. We're just probably not going to do that because he's been doing it now since 2017 is when he first started experimenting with carnivore, and he didn't mean to do it forever. But he felt so good and everything improved that he just kept on doing it. And he continues to do it and he loves it. And he's very low maintenance. We show what he eats a day in the community. And sometimes my stepdaughter is doing his videos now. And so she wants to film him making his food. And it's always the same thing. It's just ground beef and eggs over and over and over again. And so she's like, Dad, you need to eat something else. And he's like, babe, I don't know what to tell you. It's just what I eat. And his food looks like dog food. If I had to eat carnivore the way Ken Berry eats carnivore, I would just probably starve because it looks horrible. He's not a good cook. But yeah, he does carnivore because he loves it and he does really well on it. And I don't do carnivore because I just don't like it. I need some onions. And you can't say you're carnivore in this community and have onions on your plate. Even if mostly what you eat is carnivore, the minute you have onions, you're not, nope, noted.
The carnivore police show up instantly and kick you out.
Yeah, right. So it's just become this thing where I'm not carnivore and I don't really fit into any box. So now I just say I eat the Neisha diet and I love carnivore. Anytime I feel like trash, I go back to carnivore because I have Hashimoto's autoimmune disease. I can never reintroduce things like some people could. I could probably never eat a ton of fruit. I could probably never eat a ton of vegetables. The vegetables I do eat are technically fruit and alliums. And they're the ones that don't affect me. So I'm able to eat those without any problems. If they started to cause me problems, I'd cut them out too. I can't eat any form of a high dairy diet, but I can have a little bit. And, I've spent 10 years figuring out where I fit on a proper human diet spectrum. And I am now at a place where I'm realizing things need to change for me, but maybe not in the way that the rest of the internet thinks carnivores are changing. And even though I'm not carnivore, things change. The older you get, new seasons, new phases of life, things change, and I'm changing now too.
I know you're almost 40, and I recently turned 40. And so that is like a big transition that I know is kind of like a pretty big milestone that has you like reevaluating, like, is my health where it wants to be? Is my fitness where it wants to be? And I think you said a lot of things that I think are really important for people to hear. Is I want to take a quick second and let you know that this video is sponsored by Element. Element is the electrolyte drink mix that I drink every single day. I always start my morning with a packet of the unflavored electrolytes, which has the perfect ratio of the sodium, magnesium, and potassium that I need to keep me hydrated all throughout the day. And I love that there's no sweeteners, no fillers. There's literally just sodium, magnesium, and potassium in it. And in the afternoons, I like having one of their sparkling Element cans for a little extra electrolytes, or I also love the Element lemonade salt packet that I'll put like in my water if I'm needing a little boost in the afternoons. And I just noticed that I sleep so much better. I have better digestive system, and I avoid leg cramps or headaches or any other symptom of having low sodium. Element has a deal for all my subscribers where you can go to drinkelement.com/LaurasPatH and you can get this free sample pack with any purchase. And it has 8 free packets in here of 4 of their most popular flavors. So thanks to Element for sponsoring this video. That you're not carnivore because you don't have to be, because you can tolerate onions, because you enjoy eating a couple of other things. And you also mentioned, that carnivore can be this tool for healing your Hashimoto's or for kind of going back to a baseline. But I think that's the part that this is coming from somebody who's been carnivore for a long time. Like, I don't think the goal is to be a strict carnivore forever. I think the goal, and I know you agree with me about this, because this is why I love that we're having this conversation, is because I do feel like we both have like this very normal real world approach to how we eat. I posted a couple of days ago that I went to Buffalo Wild Wings, and of course the viral, like a year ago, everybody got so upset because Buffalo Wild Wings, which has always been known for cooking their wings in beef tallow, it came out that the beef tallow is processed and it's not good enough beef tallow.
Right.
And so I got all these comments that are like, oh, I wish I could eat at Buffalo Wild Wings. Their beef, I heard online their beef tallow is not good enough anymore. So I'm out. Like, somebody saw a reel that somebody made to get views, and now they've decided, the internet told me I can't eat beef tallow, and like the Buffalo Wild Wings beef tallow isn't good enough anymore. Like, I wish I had that luxury to not worry about that kind of stuff.
and it's just become this, and I don't think it's everybody. I mean, you're amazing and you're carnivore, but people who are loud and say very crazy is maybe not the right word, but for the purpose of it's crazy, extreme, it's extreme, right? Saying these extreme things, and they're loud about it, and everybody wants carnivore to fail who is on the side of like, we told you so. And then there's the people who are the purists that are like, if you're not doing it exactly right, then can you even call yourself carnivore? I did a video, I think like 2 years ago, that was like, are you even carnivore? And I was like, we could take this all the way down to, are you living out in the tent with the water from the creek and shooting your game with a bow and arrow? So if you're not doing it like that, are you carnivore? Like someone else is harvesting your meat for you? Like, we could go that far if you want to, but that's crazy, isn't it? We shouldn't have to. And like you said, we live in the real world. Laura travels for her job all the time. And so a Buffalo Wild Wings adventure for her, that's the worst that she's going to do. I mean, are we going to get that crazy? Are we going to get that extreme? And I thought this whole movement was to bring people closer to health, not to force them away with a dogmatic and cultish type behavior that is being shown. And I don't even think most people don't feel that way. I really don't. You cannot tell me most people who carnivore are that extreme. But again, when people say things like that, it's the loudest person in the room. And so you think more people think that way than they really do. Most of this community is very supportive and very do what works for you. I want you to find what works for you. I support that what you do works for you. And if I was doing something truly unhealthy and Laura saw me doing it, she would probably be like, is this what? She would ask me face to face, right? We're not walking around with thousands of people looking over our shoulder, seeing what we're doing. And so it's just this become a little bit of a circus. And I hate that because carnivore is so powerful and so healing. But I'm very grateful for Laura. I remember hearing you at, was it called KetoCon then, or was it?
I think it still was the last actual KetoCon before it switched over to Heck Your Health.
Laura was up there with a bunch of different carnivores, and someone asked the question, and I think it had to do with like, if I include a random vegetable every now and then, like, how is that going to affect my carnivore success? And Laura said, I don't care if you eat a pickle. I don't think that, having a pickle every now and then is going to derail you. And, that's not what probably got us here, is eating things like vegetables. And like, whatever you said was very rational. And I think you were the last person to talk. And I stood up and I was like, whoa, because I was like, people need to hear a real life example of somebody going like, if you have a pickle, okay, you cheated with a pickle?
Yeah. And well, I think the internet sometimes amplifies the like all vegetables are killing you voices. Yeah. And you see those the most because that's obviously the stuff that's going to go viral, or that it makes for a pretty salacious clip like you mentioned. Mm-hmm. And so this normal, like, I eat the same things. I kind of haven't made a lot of what I eat videos lately because kind of like, it's just I eat the same things all the time and it gets pretty boring. And, I think the message of do what works for you is a lot harder to reach people than follow this protocol. And I do think, unfortunately, that's why some of these like more extreme protocols in carnivore have gotten really popular, because it's easy to talk to the masses and say, if you follow this protocol, you will get these results. And obviously we both know that's not true. Like everybody's results and the way they eat, you could eat exactly like I do and have very different results than I do because we're different people. And I know that 100%. The message of like, you got to figure out what works for you is at the core what people have to do. But I think they don't know how to do that. And I do think that's the hard part. Yeah.
And people are so sick, and they're so sick and tired of looking for the answer. And there being one person saying meat will heal you, and one person saying that meat will give you cancer, and one person saying that fat will make you fat, and one person saying that fat is great for you. Don't make sure you eat fat. And it's exhausting. So I get where people are like, just tell me what to do. Unfortunately, even Dr. Berry cannot tell you exactly what to do. He would have to sit in a room with you for several hours, ask you a lot of questions, get your complete medical history, look at any kind of thing that you have done for the past 5 years, do a complete breakdown. Like, you're just not going to get the answer from a YouTube video. And I wish we could do that for you. Even in our community, we have 5,000 people in there. We do a really good job trying to support people. We run small challenges, like we're running one right now because I ran a poll in our group, and 40% of the people, and we just had a huge influx of new members. So this is probably accurate. 40% were stuck or stalled. And so I'm running a challenge and I'm making them track their food. Most of these people have never tracked their food because Dr. Berry said that they didn't have to.
Right. 100%. In carnivore, you're not supposed to track.
You don't track.
You're hungry. You stop when you're full. Yeah. And everything is supposed to be perfect.
And to be fair, like, if you are coming into this and you have a lot of weight to lose and you've been eating a standard American diet and you just start eating mostly meat and whole foods, tracking probably is not a necessity for like the first 6 months, maybe even a year. Like, did you track in the beginning, Laura?
No. And actually, I didn't track for the first like over a year. And then I started tracking and realized I was drastically under eating. And that's why I was having some negative reactions from carnivore at the time. Right. Like my hair was falling out. My hormones weren't doing great. And it's because I was just eating intuitively. And then I was like super under eating. I also could intuitively eat a whole brick of cheese every day as well. Like I could go the other extreme where I like way overeat. And so I totally agree with that in the beginning, you have to do whatever you got to do just to get off carbs and to build some consistency.
Yeah.
But I also agree that after a while, if you're stuck or you're stalled, I can't answer any questions about what you should do in order to break that stall without knowing exactly how much are you eating, how often are you eating. Like I get really skeptical of anybody who says like, how should I break a stall or how should I lose weight? And somebody answers them with a protocol. Like
how do you know that?
Right. How do you know that? Do you know if they're under eating or overeating or too much fat or not? I have 100 questions I have to ask you before I could even try to give you some type of advice on that.
Yeah, the first whole week of this challenge is just them tracking what they're eating. I'm not saying hit a protein, hit a fat. Just what are you eating? Baseline.
So smart.
And it's a bit surprising to a lot of these people because they weren't tracking, and so they're like, "Oh my gosh, wow!" And so when Dr. Berry says you don't have to track, he is talking to the masses. He is talking to the people who are coming with 100 pounds to lose, 50 pounds to like they don't need to track. They need to focus on consistently eating not junk food, getting in real whole foods, getting in fatty cuts of meat. Yeah, that's exactly what they should do. But then past that point, you can't keep saying, Dr. Berry said, I don't have to track. If it's working, don't track. If it's not working, there is no way to know what you need to do if you have no idea what's going into your mouth. And then another thing that we learned was these people don't know how to track. Like a lot of people think they're eating a lot of protein, myself included. And then they track what they're eating and it's like, wow, it's really not that much protein, a lot of fat. And that doesn't mean I'm going to eat low fat. Like I'm just not. I have to support my hormones, and fat is important for absorption of vitamins and like all the things. But like I could dial it back a tit and increase that protein, right? And hitting 40 and then 50 and 60, getting enough protein in for women is just so important. And many women out there are eating carnivore and not knowing how much protein they're eating and thinking they're getting enough and then having all these problems. I'm not saying that's happening to everybody in the carnivore space, but if you don't track, how are you supposed to know?
Right. I also think that, I think carnivore is a really powerful tool, and the way that you can find out what works for you is by doing this type of like a strict carnivore diet for a while, right? It can be very healing. It can help you understand what foods are negatively affecting you. And I think like really bringing things in simply for a while, whether or not it's beef, salt and water, or I know you all talk about BB, B and E, and there's nothing magical about the beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. It's about the fact of you're cutting out a lot of other stuff and you're eating these nutritious foods. Like, yes. And I think you would even agree, like you haven't failed on that diet if you eat a chicken wing. It's just that we're cutting out things that are inflammatory and vegetables, and you're treating this like an elimination diet.
I told you.
It's totally good. Don't worry.
Yeah, carnivore, triple B&E, lion diet, at the core, those are elimination diets. Now, keto also an elimination diet. When you go on keto, and keto doesn't get talked about anymore, and it cracks me up because that's how we all got here. Like, I know very few people who went standard American diet to carnivore.
Yeah, especially if you were doing this back in like 2017, 2018, 2019, like that's all anybody knew about was carnivore or keto.
Yes, exactly. And keto got me through the first part, and I saw so much healing, and I was doing like lazy keto. Okay. I was not tracking my carbs, but I was taking the bone off my burger and getting, a veggie instead of fries with my steak, and, very lazy keto protocol. And I got better, and I was very sick in like 7 days. And by 30 days in, I felt like myself again. And that's a huge win. And keto got me there. Keto is an elimination diet because it takes out gluten, which is like a huge inflammatory food, right? And it drops those carbs down, and it makes you really focus on eating whole foods, hopefully not junk keto foods. So that's an elimination diet, carnivore with chicken wings and fish and shrimp. And like you can have other things, and then you do another level and it's beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. And then another level is lion, and you can eliminate all the way up to like you went and bought the deer from your neighbor, How far do you want to take it? It's completely up to you. But elimination diets are the gold standard for healing your gut, healing your immune system. If you have an autoimmune disease, even if you don't, like letting that gut heal, elimination diet is what it is now. AIP used to be the one that was prescribed. And I think more and more, I mean, Dr. Chafee is the number one hero talking about you got to go carnivore if you have an autoimmune disease. Now, he never walks that back usually and says you can reintroduce things. But I did it strategically and I did it intentionally, collecting data and paying attention to my symptoms and my lab markers. I didn't have Judy Cho when I did this, unfortunately. She hadn't written her book back then, but you guys have that now. If you want to do an autoimmune protocol or an elimination diet protocol with carnivore, she wrote the book and it is an amazing book.
Yeah, she has the Carnivore Cure, which is kind of like the advanced version of that. And there's also the beginner's guide to carnivore that she wrote that really talks about how you can approach that from an elimination diet. And I think people who end up as long-term carnivores are sick. And that's either physically sick with a severe autoimmune condition. There's some other like major issue going on, major gut issue, or they are sick with food addiction, sick with, I fall into kind of both of those categories where I can't tolerate vegetables and things from a physical perspective, but then I also am too triggered personally by like fruit or any type of sweets or, you know, those type of things kind of end up making me want like real sweets and kind of ends up being a spiral for me. And so in order for me to just, it's simpler for me. And so I end up staying carnivore for that reason, but it's certainly not because I don't want to eat other foods or don't have any other desire to eat those foods.
Right.
I just know that like Oreos, or I mean like blueberries ends up being Oreos.
Right.
Like that.
Yeah. Food noise is real and sugar addiction is real. And we have plenty of people in the community that could probably reintroduce some vegetables and not have any physical effects from it. But the next thing, you know, they're up at 11 p.m. in the kitchen looking for something in the refrigerator and they're not truly hungry. And it's like that one thing set them off. And that is real. And some people really do need to stay away from anything except for meat to keep that freedom that they earned from going carnivore. And, you know, it's again, back to the noise is, you know, when one person comes out and says, you can't do this long-term, it's gonna XYZ.
Yeah.
And you can't say that either.
Right. Then that's gonna, like you said, you don't like to be told what to do. Somebody's gonna instantly want to like do something else just because somebody said they couldn't.
Yeah. It's just like the truth is, and you know this, Laura, and all the doctors that do carnivore and preach carnivore and praise carnivore, they know we lack research because it's hard to fund that kind of research. Now, Dave Feldman is doing a lot of research when it comes to cholesterol and that sort of thing. And like, thank God for him. And I'm glad we have resources that are trying to do a lot of research. But at the end of the day, like, we don't know which way is the best way for every single person. But what we do know is that humans were meant to eat animal protein.
Yeah.
And it is important for us to have all those essential amino acids that we can only get from animal protein. And if majority of your diet is coming from animal protein, then you've got it dialed in or you're well on your way. And I don't care what it is labeled. I just hope that you are doing the work on yourself, and it sucks. And it's going to take more than a month, unfortunately, for you to figure it out, but you will get there. And every step you're getting closer to healthy. And every day that you don't eat the junk that you were eating, you're getting away from, you know, you're healing your body from years of abuse. I ate Domino's and Doritos and Bud Light, you know, till I was blue in the face in my 20s, and that didn't do me any favors. I also can blame some of this on getting breast implants. You know, there's so much research about that now. Now, not every woman is going to have an autoimmune response to breast implants. I know plenty of women that have them and they don't have any issues. For me, that it was that I got the virus, the strep, and like a whole bunch of things cascaded, some trauma, some drama, no sleep. I was working midnights as an LPN. Like, my life was junk. And then I went and got breast implants. And 3 months later, My hair started falling out. I had no energy. I had brain fog. Like, I know it was a lot of things, but I still haven't got them taken out. And people hate that. I get that question all the time. Like, if you really care about your health, then why do you still have breast implants? Well,
Yeah.
I have 2 kids, and my youngest she just turned 3, and she's still very needy, and I don't want to not be able to hold her and pick her up for the 6 weeks that you have drains coming out.
Yeah.
It's not just a basic surgery. It's not you're in and out. Unfortunately, you know, there's a recovery time. It's expensive. I'm trying to build a house.
From someone who's had like skin removal surgeries, like 100, it's a lot. Like it's a really, those are, you know, similar type of procedures for sure.
Yeah. So like I paid the price with being sick, and I'm going to pay the price again to get them taken out. And that sucks. But if I could Dorothy Gale click my heels together and they were out today, I would. But I think it also says something that I was able to reverse so many of my symptoms just by cutting out junk food and gluten and doing elimination diet and figuring out what works for me. You know, I got up to 165 pounds when my thyroid was truly inflamed. That wasn't even I didn't even care about that. Like, I thought I was going to die. That's how bad I felt. But then all of that, like, the only thing I have left is back pain. And I really think it's probably because I have breast implants still.
But that's it. Shows you what a difference food can make in terms of healing. Yeah. And I also think that at some point there may be something else that's not food related. I am a huge believer in carnivore. Obviously, it has healed so many people that I know and love and reversed their diabetes and improved thyroid conditions and just like what you've experienced. But at the end of the day, there may also be things that are going on that are not food related. And if you're not able to tolerate eating literally anything else, then there probably is something else that's going on. And I think that's where the internet gets so obsessed with like labeling your diet. And, you know, I talk all the time. I eat a pickle occasionally, and I love a red onion occasionally. Like, does that make me not carnivore? Like, yeah, who cares? Like, I think having that information about what is a carnivore diet elimination, like those books, that can be very helpful in healing. Yes. But in terms of like labeling how I eat every day, like maybe that's going to be different this week. You mentioned you're changing up how you eat right now. Like, it doesn't mean you've quit eating the way you were before. It just means that you're eating differently now to achieve different goals. Yeah. And I think that's a big part of it is it depends on what your goals are. And I don't think it necessarily means that you've quit your old way of eating and now you're eating, and it's just you've evolved and you might go back and change back to what you're doing in a month from now. You know, once you've hit those goals, it doesn't have to be so black and white.
And I always, in the group, when we're doing the 90-day, we do an elimination protocol once a year because it's a lot of work. I really like hold their hands, and Judy Cho comes in and we do a live, and like she really helps ease their minds because she's the guru as far as I'm concerned on it.
Absolutely.
And I say there's a difference between carnivore as an elimination diet and carnivore as a lifestyle. Because carnivore is an elimination diet, you're eliminating things on purpose for a set amount of time so that you are able to heal your gut and then possibly reintroduce things in an intentional and strategic way. Whereas carnivore as a lifestyle is like, you can eat and you don't really pay attention to every single thing and how you're not doing the food and moon journal anymore. You've found your stride. So I do, you know, a carnivore lifestyle kind of, I can't call myself that, but what I just had this conversation with Ken. I was like, you know, what's funny is if I went out and I played golf one time, even 2 times, and I came back and I was like, I'm a golfer. Are you? You went 2 times, but the minute we have a pickle or an onion on our plate, we're no longer able to say we're carnivore. And why are we defined by the few things instead of the consistent things? And I think if we just all shifted our mindset a little bit around that, we would be able to see like, oh, it's the things we do every day most of the time that are healing our body. And like the very few things where some random thing happens and you fall off the wagon for a day or not even a whole day, just like one thing, that doesn't make you not the person you have been for a whole year. That doesn't erase all the work you did. It doesn't change you. It's just a thing. that happened, and you're not a golfer. You just went golfing one time, and it's okay.
But I think that's what drives me nuts about the counting the days, the number of days, which is really popular to do, because I feel like there is so much shame that's attached to like, well, I wasn't perfect for this one day, so I better just, I'm the person who would give up on everything and just go back to the Dominoes and the Doritos and all the other terrible things.
Yeah.
When we're all just trying to be healthier and do what works for us. And I think it's a really challenging thing to figure out.
Yeah.
And I also appreciate what you mentioned about, like you make a small adjustment, track something, then slightly tweak what you're doing. It's not about following some brand new radical protocol. It's about taking what works for your lifestyle and making a small adjustment if you're not getting the results that you're looking for.
Yeah. And always get the baseline. Always figure, before you change anything, get a full picture of what you have been doing, because you think you know, but until you're truly paying attention, that's just humans. Okay. We're not paying attention. We have 1,000 things going on in our lives. We got jobs, we got kids, we got parents, we got family, we got Christmas coming. We juggle a lot. Things get missed. So until you give it and I tell people, like, you don't have to track for the rest of your life. Do it for a week and see what's going on. And then you have some information to work with. But I also, when we're doing elimination, we don't do it, like you said, like 90 days of carnivore. It's a 90-day elimination diet protocol, but they get a worksheet with like bubbles and they color in the bubbles green, like stayed on track, red, I messed up a little bit, but we're not like putting them out to pasture.
You don't get kicked out of the group because you ate something that's different. Yeah.
Right.
Or you made a mistake.
Right. So this visual aid is there. So at the end of the month, that one day that they thought was horrible, it's like, it's one little red dot. Look at all the green. Or even if you had 5, look at all the green. Look how good you did. You did so good. That's consistency.
Right.
Not perfection. Perfection doesn't look like all green dots. I mean, perfection looks like all green dots.
Right.
But consistency doesn't. Just like weight loss doesn't go. No, it's a journey, right? So people who are like, you got to be perfect or you're not doing it right, that's not real life. It's just not. And I mean, I guess there are some people who are perfect all the time, but I just want you to know I am not one of them, and I'm doing great and I'm thriving. And we want you to be honest with yourself. If you're eating things that you think work for you, but they're not really, you're doing yourself a disservice. But I think most people really want to be healthy, and they're not just out here eating pickles just to spite people. They're working on finding what works for them so that they can live healthy, long, happy lives.
Yeah. And don't be so trapped with a label of a diet. Like find the Laura diet and the Nisha diet and the insert your name here diet. Like you have to find a way of eating that works for your lifestyle and works with, I could tell you that you have to fast and skip dinner for optimal life. But if that's the only meal that you get with your family, like what a terrible existence that would be. Like you have to live the life. You have to enjoy being in your life and have it work for you.
Yeah. If it was just about food, then we could go lock ourselves in, solitary and eat steak and we'd all be, 500-year-old people. That's not what would happen though, is it? No. Mental health is more than just food. It's the life that you lead and the interactions and the relationships and the experiences. And it's the majority of the things that you do that make you healthy and happy. And like, people just stop making it so.
Yeah. Don't make it harder on yourself than it is.
Yeah,
life's hard enough already.
It is. Yeah. Life is hard enough already. So, eat your meat. Definitely. Eat plenty of protein. Eat some healthy fat. But like if the worst thing that you do is eat some cucumber salad one day,
you'll be okay.
You're going to be okay.
Right. I love that. And I think accountability is a big piece of it. I will link your group down below and other resources I know that you have. Please make sure you go follow Nisha's YouTube channel as well. And you'll find her group and all of her she has tons of like amazing, realistic recipes, a lot of good, like just real talk on her channel as well. So make sure you go find her. So thank you for joining me today. Anything else that you want to mention or that I didn't mention?
No, I thank you so much for having me on. This was a great conversation and happy to do it anytime.
Yeah. So good to talk to you. Thanks guys. Bye.